welcome back to Queerpreneurs Unleashed. I'm your host, Dustyn Baulkham, and I have the privilege of interviewing some pretty cool 2S LGBT plus entrepreneurs. Today we're recording on the traditional and ancestral territory of the Okanagan Silt people, in which we respect the land in which we work, live, and play. And today I get to chat with Amanda. Thanks for being here.
Hello, thanks for having me.
I know I've kind of been keen to have you on, especially since I had Sarah on, so it's great to be here, and I think it's great to be in your office.
Yes, thank you for coming here. We're glad to have you.
First off, tell our viewers how you identify.
I identify as a cisgender lesbian.
Beautiful.
I'm married to Sarah, who was already a guest on your podcast.
Yeah, a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, and we have a 2.5-year-old son, Theo.
I can't believe he's 2.5 already.
Yeah.
It's crazy how
and he's
fast.
Tall.
Yeah? He's getting your height then.
Yes. He will be looking Sarah in the eyes very soon.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. How old were you when you came out?
I was in my early 20s.
Okay.
So it was a later progression for me. I don't know if I always knew that I was gay, but I always knew that I never really wanted to be in a relationship. And I think reflecting on that now is a little more obvious with, hindsight. But it was definitely later in life for me. And then Sarah was my first relationship and my last.
Yeah. So was it like the typical lesbian U-Haul, as we like to call it, or was it?
No, it wasn't.
No?
We didn't fit into that category.
Okay.
I think we dated for a couple of months before we actually moved in. And there were lots of things happening in our lives. Like I was just graduating university. She had just moved back from living abroad and traveling. So all of those things kind of aligned, and that's how we started our relationship.
Oh, sounds like a fairy tale.
It was a little bit. It felt like that. It still feels like that.
That's
yeah.
great. I mean, that's how it should be, right?
Absolutely.
What was your coming out like with your family?
It was like staggered.
Okay.
So I was living in Germany at the time that I came out to my dad. So he came to visit me and we went traveling. And I don't know why I thought I'm going to tell him while we're traveling. I'm pretty sure it's going to go over okay and we'll continue our trip. And I never really thought, well, what if it doesn't go okay? And now we're still traveling. It went totally fine. Good. I said, Dad, this is kind of where I'm at in life. I think it was a 2-minute conversation. He said, okay, great, let's go grab a beer. So he was very supportive. It was like a non-event, and I just thought, okay, that's great. And then when I came back, I came out to my mom. Okay. And I think the way in which it happened, it could have been done better. And she's absolutely 100% supportive. She loves Sarah, and my siblings love Sarah, and they're all very supportive. We're so lucky to have that. But it was very, I guess in that sense, it was different because I kind of said, well, let me tell Mom first. Please don't tell her. So I inadvertently put him in an awkward position. And but you live and learn, right? When you've got the weight of something like that on your shoulders, you do what you think is best. And maybe it isn't always, but in the end, everyone's happy and we're all still very close.
Good. That's what's important. Mm-hmm. When you hear, I feel like many of us are a bit more on the other side. We always think that it's gonna be the worst situation when we come out because you hear of some horror stories, and I think it's also important to highlight the good ones as well because there are a lot of good ones out there, and to help other people realize that their coming out could be really positive or should be really positive, right? So it's good and but there are still obviously those bad and tough situations out there. I know we had one guest on earlier that he still hasn't talked to his family since the day he came out.
Oh my gosh.
And that was 20 years ago.
Wow.
So there's it's complete opposite sides of the spectrum. You just never know. But you really don't. So.
No, I was lucky. I had the best outcome across all boards. So.
Which is great.
Yes.
Absolutely. How it should be. So we're starting to bridge over to the business side of life now. You were out.
Yeah.
And has that impacted your business in either way, whether good or bad?
I don't know if it's had a material impact either way at this point. I think for me, I can use my voice a bit more to make it known that there is a queer person here in this space that traditionally you may not find a comfort level with. And I think that's kind of first and foremost my goal in the coming months, and just ultimately trying to build that out more and make it a little bit more well known.
Well, I think, I mean, in banking, you do see a lot of queer people, but maybe not so much on the investment and planning side.
Yes,
right?
And the entrepreneur side. I think it's a small space to be in, and it's a great space to be in. I think there's a huge need for people to feel that they can be their authentic selves when they're meeting with a professional, so that they can get the advice that they deserve and need. But it is a unique place that I found myself. So I'm still trying to figure out what that means.
Well, and I think because traditionally for many years it was definitely a very cis, straight, male dominated industry, right? And so even, I'm sure being a woman, there's been some challenges in that aspect.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a unique viewpoint, I would say, that I bring, given that I am a woman and that I fall within the queer community. I think those two aspects are not so common in this particular industry, though that is changing.
Right. And so I guess, actually, let's talk a bit about the business. So tell people what you actually do.
So I'm a financial advisor. I work with people or corporations to help plan for a future goal. And that could be education, home ownership, retirement, or maybe estate protection. So at the different life stages that one may find themselves in, that's where we try and go in and help and provide advice.
And I know I kind of mentioned the Valley First side, but I think it's interesting to maybe touch a bit on what the journey's been to get to this point, because you obviously went from working for someone else to now, in essence, working for yourself within a brand, I guess.
Yes, I never saw myself as a self-employed individual or thought of myself as an entrepreneur. It just naturally progressed over time. I think so naturally that I didn't notice it was happening, and then it happened, and I thought, oh. Right. Okay. So I started my career off with a major Canadian bank originally. And from there, I actually moved abroad to the UK, and I worked at a private financial planning firm there. And that really was the complete opposite of the banking world here. You have ultra high net worth clients that require really specific tax planning strategies and investment strategies. And I loved that work, and I loved being part of an independent office. And so upon my move back to Kelowna, I knew that a bank wasn't going to be the best place for me. And Valley First at the time was and still is a wonderful organization to be with. Where I felt that I wasn't really serving my clients to the best of my ability was the lack of independence on the investment side. And so that's what sort of led me to Raymond James, is to be able to offer whatever makes sense for the client, sort of unrestricted. And that journey, that's 12 plus years in the making, in a very short time frame. And now I'm partnered with Stephen Mazer, and we have our wonderful assistant Cassie Hobbs. So we've got a well-rounded team here.
What would you say has been your biggest challenge going from, say, corporate to being self-employed?
I think my biggest difficulty is work-life balance. I don't know if that is echoing many of your other individuals here, but it's hard because you want your business to be successful. You want to be successful for your clients, but I don't want that to come at the detriment of my family time, and vice versa, right? So finding that balance and keeping things on an even keel is hard. It's hard to not delve into one, space more than another, because I find for me, if I'm, head down working away, then it's not until I'm outside of that I realize, well, it's coming at, my family's expense or something. So that's been hard.
And I know normally I ask this question later, but I mean, we're kind of on it now. So how do you balance that work-life balance?
I'd say it's still a work in progress. Yeah, I'm still learning to balance that.
Right.
I don't know what the magic formula is. I'm thankful that because I'm my own business, I can be flexible with where I work. Right. So predominantly I work from home, which is very helpful. We have the space to work out of when we meet with clients. But just a shameless plug, if anyone knows of daycare available, please contact me.
I mean, they are building one just down the street here.
It's not quick enough.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that. Well, and I feel like the pandemic has made it easier to work remotely, which can be good and it can be bad because of the work-life balance, right? Because it's so easy to just, the kid's gone to bed. Why don't I just reply to a few emails, right?
Yeah.
Which can be good sometimes too, because then you can take time in the middle of the day to spend with the kid or the wifey or anyone else, right?
Yeah. There's pros and cons to everything, and I'm thankful that I have the flexibility, because there would be pros and cons to if I was at a desk for 8 hours all the time, every day, right? Yeah. So I'm looking at it in a positive light, but I still don't really know how to balance things.
Yeah, and and life changes, right? As we grow and adapt and evolve, and kids grow and things, you kind of just got to be adaptable, I guess. Eh?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's always changing.
How was your queer identity shaped how you operate in business?
I think I'm still learning a little bit about that as well, to be honest. Because I can do what I want with that, but I'm not sure what I want to do and how, if that makes sense. Like, it seems like it's almost like a new journey for me of relearning about myself in another aspect, like specifically business related. I mean, we certainly make sure that we understand people's pronouns, and we ask for that information from clients, and ask, what would you like to be called? Just because your legal name is this doesn't necessarily mean that's how you'd like to be addressed. And that, in this industry, that might sound like a small thing, but it's a big step, because those changes are very slow to be pushed through. Yeah. And I'm kind of here on this end, like trying to push that through. I
feel like that is like, it should be just basic common knowledge at this point to ask some of those questions, and not even just for the queer community, because, even a cis straight person could have the legal name and they go by something different, right? And so I think that's just the way to provide appropriate, customer and client or member relations.
Absolutely.
Right.
Like, I want to address you in a respectful manner and make sure that I'm doing that appropriately. So please tell me. Yeah. Right? I won't know. So
it's like, I hate like Mr. Baulkham, like that's my grandpa. Let's pass. Like, even my dad doesn't like being called Mr. Baulkham, or he'll call me sir. I'm like, oh.
It is, it's a formality that I think is changing, right? Totally. As the generations are changing, there's different polite ways to address people that I think we should at least be mindful of.
Yeah. Well, and just like to your point, I'll just ask how. Yeah. Right. I've had sometimes I'll even I think I called one of my credit cards a while ago, and they're like, and they asked if they could address me by Dustyn. I said yes, please do. Like, said, and that's the other one. How can I address you, right? Because it works across the board. It's not just for queer people. It's
just easy. Yeah. Yeah. It's all inclusive. Yep. Wherever you stand.
Yeah. Exactly. So I guess kind of continue to build on that. Do you do any specific marketing or promotion towards the queer community?
No.
No.
This is the question that I don't really have an answer to, because I still don't quite know what that looks like. Right. I think the reason we haven't done a lot of promotion or marketing directly, from my standpoint, is I'm not sure how to do that effectively and respectfully. Right. So I feel like I have a lot to learn in that regard, and I don't know, like I need to learn it, right? I don't know what I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I always like asking some of these questions, because there's a lot of queer-owned businesses that aren't necessarily targeting the queer community. Like, I mean, my business is unique that a lot of my my focus is around the queer community, but not every business is like that. And yeah, it's finding, I think, those authentic ways to do it, right? So it's not just the typical pink washing and slapping your logo on something or...
Exactly. And I think that's where I'm hesitant, because I don't want it to be a gimmick.
Right.
I want it to be thoughtful and real. And so I'm kind of stuck at that roadblock, and I haven't been able to move past it in an appropriate manner, I think.
Well, and I know obviously we've done some stuff together in the past of sponsoring events and whatnot, which I think is a step in that direction.
Yes. I mean, we've worked together. We've worked a fair bit with Advocacy Canada, to help them with some of their initiatives. And we've supported The Space Belongs to You.
Right.
So there are ways that we are helping the community that isn't direct marketing.
Right.
And at this point, I'm a lot more comfortable doing that because I can see the benefit that we're getting out of it. And it's a good cause, right? I'm down for anything like that.
Absolutely. That's great. I mean, you've been on the Pride board in the past too, so you've done a bit of work with
That's
Pride
true,
and being at Pride.
Absolutely.
Sometimes those are things too, it's also showing up. It's not always just handing a check or what it is, right?
Yeah. We will be there this year again.
Yeah.
I was supporting Sarah's booth the last year or so, which was pretty exciting. So we're out and about, but I think, like me specifically, I love to fly under the radar.
Yeah.
I'm like a quiet stealth person. So if I can go completely unrecognized, I'm very happy about that.
Fair enough.
And so that mantra for this particular business maybe is not the best approach to have, but that's sort of my outlook. Like, I don't need the big flashy social media posts for doing things, right? Like, I'll just attend a trans rally, I'll attend this, I'll attend that, but I'm not gonna splash it on social media because I'm not so comfortable with that.
Well, again, that's being authentic to you, right? And what your life is like. You don't have to have all these fancy social media posts, because some people just do that for attention.
Yeah, I think everyone has their own reasons for it, and it's just not really in my wheelhouse, I would say. So
yeah. So you don't want a big rainbow vehicle driving down the road?
I mean, I probably wouldn't drive a big rainbow vehicle. Actually, no, maybe I would, because I think my son would love that. Like, he'd be pretty impressed.
Yeah, I did actually. When I parked around here, there was kids getting walked. They're like, oh, look at the unicorns.
Yeah,
okay. I get a lot of that from the kids for sure. Construction workers are kind of just puzzled. Typically, they're like more of the WTF face is what's...
Like, what is this vehicle?
Yeah. And then I get people, more and more people are starting to ask questions about what we do, which is great.
That's very positive.
And it's just, I actually had a note one day in my window after being in storage locker about you guys are, I think it said, like, you guys are awesome, please keep doing what you do, or something like that.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, there's handwritten notes,
nice.
and so I actually have it on my fridge, just, when you have those rough days that you need that friendly reminder.
Absolutely.
So, especially with all the hate and garbage out there. So
you need to see the positivity and the light in all of that, for sure.
Agreed. Back on the business side of things, do you find that there's any specific challenges that are unique to being a queer entrepreneur?
I don't know. I think I've been very privileged ultimately in my journey to get here. And I certainly don't have anything that I feel has held me back because of being queer. Yeah. I think there have been some instances that it's led very positively to me being a lesbian woman in the industry. But I have to be very thankful for the position that I'm in and the privilege that I've experienced to get here. I know that not a lot of people will have had that background as well.
Well, and it's important to highlight because people always like to talk about the challenges and whatnot, and if there's not specific things unique, that's okay too, right? And that's why I think pretty much everyone has answered very similar to how you have through this podcast journey, and so I think it's also important to highlight that because you want to highlight the good stuff, right?
Yeah.
So many people talk about the bad, but I like to focus on the good. Still got to recognize the other stuff, but on that front. What kind of vision for like a legacy for the business do you have long term?
Well, I wanted to just continue growing. Like my business partner and I view this as a business, you know. We're building it up. He kind of had a head start on building it. I came in to help support, and now we're Aura Wealth Management as a team. We want it to live and grow forever.
Right.
And outlive and outlast us. That's the goal.
Okay. Beautiful. Love it. What kind of community impact do you want it to have? The business, like the business itself.
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. Have it be more of an informative piece, a bit more of a supportive piece. I think I see it growing to a point where we can more regularly support organizations, not just monetarily, but maybe we partner with them and we offer some financial literacy pieces that are offered by a queer person for queer people. That I think would be wonderful because, first of all, growing up, and maybe this has changed since I've been in school, it's been some time, but there wasn't a base level of money management or debit cards or credit cards or investing. And I think to have just a bit of foundation would be helpful, but also to be aware of the intricacies within the 2S LGBTQ+ community would be great.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, there's not a lot out there. I mean, there's obviously a lot of resources online, but let's be honest, how many people are actually going to look?
Yeah, it's not the most enticing topic to begin with, but at least if it's maybe an in-person thing and it's turned into more of a social gathering where there's a bit more networking, you know, that might be a little bit of fun.
Totally.
I mean, I think it would be fun, but...
Well, there's some ways to do, I mean, because we worked with Dora on, also known as Benoit, on the realty side of things.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And she did it in drag, so then it was a bit more fun. And because I think people see finance as boring and dry. I hate to say it, right? But
oh no, you're not offending me.
No.
I know that it is, and that's why I'm in this industry, because
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love the calmness, like the dryness. That's me. I'm totally there. But I realize, there's nothing really flashy really about what I do, and that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of professional services in many aspects, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be, you know, will writing or will planning or whatever you want to call it, like, because I don't think I've seen anything since the pandemic, but before there were definitely different workshops that had happened. And you know, I remember the person who used to run Waterhouse with TD would occasionally do some stuff when they first started sponsoring Pride. So
right.
But it was dry and long. And so
it's bringing the fun into it and getting the engagement. I think that's the key for this kind of a topic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you can make it a bit of a play and fun, and right, and you engage people and they learn something. Right?
Absolutely.
So, but it's also a skill to be able to do that, or to have someone that you can do that with.
For sure.
Right. To build off of. So my brain's already going on that front, but I'm gonna reel it back in. Have you experienced any discrimination or bias?
I have.
Okay.
Minimally, I would say, you know, compared to things that I've heard from others. At the very beginning of my career, I had a client come in on a Saturday morning at the bank. So I'll paint the picture. The bank is pretty much dead. There's not a lot of traffic. There's not a lot of people working. Mm-hmm. So it was me and this gentleman. And some of the comments that he was talking about, and I don't really know how we got onto the topic of queer people, because I didn't say, hey, I'm a lesbian.
You didn't have a tattoo on your forehead?
There were no flashing arrows or anything.
Yeah.
And it just came up, and he started talking about it, and he was quite discriminatory, very defamatory. And I was young. I was in my early 20s. I didn't know how to address it or how to shut it down, because I was so surprised that it was even happening. That was the first time that I experienced something like that, and realized that, these things do happen. They happen close to home. It's not just maybe in the US or in a larger city center. And I think that's always stuck with me because of my complete shock and disbelief. And I didn't know what to do. You know, I didn't voice anything to say, like, leave. I said, you know, I think this is an inappropriate topic. We're here to discuss X, Y, and Z. Let's move back to that.
Right.
But in my mind, you know, what I really wanted to say was something much more harsh and rude and negative. So it was a very, very bizarre experience for me.
What I often find, at least in my days of banking, was like, you're also a bit of a counselor for people.
Yes.
Right? Because money is one of those things that's very stressful and very personal, right? And so people like the stories, like just the full life story. And I'm like, I just asked how your day was going. Like, or even sometimes just said hi and just go, whoa.
Yes.
Right?
I think you have to be able to kind of sit with open ears, open mind, and not judge. And in that case, anyways, not in my former case, because you don't know what people are going through. Totally. And, you know, there's a lot that people will confide in you, and you have to know that that's a serious position of responsibility to be in, that people trust you to open up like that. So
do you ever have those days where you just want to stop doing this and do something else, having like a 9-to-5 salary job?
No.
Good.
I don't actually. Yeah. There's always stressful periods.
Of course.
And it's always things that I can't control, and I'm very much, I like routine, I like control, I like patterns, and inherently with any job there's always pieces that are outside of your control. So there can be stressful times, but I love what I do. I love my clients. I love working with people. I love seeing like a meaningful effect, or like transitioning someone into retirement is fabulous. It's the best thing ever.
Celebration for a lot of people.
Oh, I love it. I love being a part of that. That to me is like why I do this.
Right. So they can enjoy that stage of their life. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's great. I'm going to move into the lightning round. So it's just this or that, no explanations. Just when asked the question or give the situation, just pick one or the other, and then we'll keep rolling through.
Okay.
Dinner at a fancy restaurant or home cooked meal?
Home cooked meal.
Multiple short vacations or one long vacation in a year?
One long vacation.
Mexico or Hawaii?
Mexico.
Watch a movie at home or go out and enjoy live music?
Movie at home.
Spain or Portugal?
Portugal.
Vancouver or Victoria?
Vancouver.
Toronto or Montreal?
Montreal.
Early riser or like to sleep in?
Early riser.
If you had the option of either, where doesn't matter where you're going, would you drive or fly?
Fly.
Yeah. I agree with that one. Most people actually say drive, so it's interesting.
Yeah, okay.
Audiobooks or real books?
Neither.
No? Okay. That's fine. For business spending, debit or credit card?
Credit.
Banking, or with a bank or credit union?
Bank.
Dog or cat?
Dog.
I mean, I knew that, but I still have to ask. Spotify or Apple Music?
Spotify.
Are you a popcorn person?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Homemade.
Agreed.
Not microwave.
Yep.
Okay.
Every once in a while microwave, but 99% of the time not. Pineapple on a pizza?
Nope.
Oh, I agree.
Definitely not.
I think you're the first one that said that.
Definitely not.
Oh.
That's something else.
I just don't like pineapple in general, but
warm and soggy, you're completely changing the whole.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. I think you're the first person to make it all the way through without explaining your answers. So, God. Everyone has to like explain. I'm like, there's no explaining. It's just this or that.
Okay.
So
I listened to instruction.
Yeah, you did. You do. This next little one is just like short answers. So, a couple words kind of thing. So favorite type of music?
I love right now. I'm just really into 80s.
Oh,
like
okay.
back into the 80s. Yeah. Happy, cheery.
Love it.
Silly.
Yeah. Favorite time of year?
I think fall.
Okay.
Because it's like, personally, I'm like a Christmas fanatic.
Okay.
I love the holiday. I love the snow. I love the family traditions. I love the games and the food. And fall is like, okay, you've survived the summer, first of all. And here, I think that's, a big thing. You kind of ease into things. You start getting like your comfy sweaters out.
Yeah.
You have pumpkin pie. Like all of these things then lead into Christmas, and that's for me. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
For no like religious reason. It's just
No.
like the family traditions around that. Yeah.
I can agree. You know, I like the family traditions around Christmas and the getting together, and yeah, I like that part. Snow, take or leave it.
Love the snow.
I like the look of it. It's the mess that I mean, it comes with it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, what's your favorite place to travel for vacation?
I actually really love going to Bulgaria.
Okay.
Which is probably, there might be some listeners that are saying, wow, maybe never heard of that place before. It's a place in Eastern Europe that's on the Black Sea.
Okay.
And I met a handful of really wonderful people there when I was going to school in Germany. And I've been and traveled around the country. It's a beautiful place. The people are fantastic. The food is incredible. The beaches are glorious. Awesome. It's just a big trek to get over there.
It's kind of traveling anywhere at this point. Like that's, you know, when I went to Thailand, it was 15 and a half hours from Vancouver.
Wow.
Because you go up and around. But it's interesting that it's cheaper to fly there than Europe, last I looked.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think because it's easier, especially from like say Toronto on the East Coast to get over to Europe.
Right.
So those flights are very busy because you can get away for quick vacation quick.
Yeah, living where we live kind of,
yeah.
You can go anywhere and you know that it's going to cost you, so.
Well, and it's time, right? You always know you're making
Absolutely.
one connection. But we went all to Thailand on 2 flights, like just here to Vancouver and Vancouver to Bangkok.
Oh, that's amazing.
So
that's amazing.
It is possible. So I just have last few questions just to kind of wrap things up. Do you have any tips or strategies for building resilience in your business?
I think the first thing that I learned in the industry is you need to have thick skin. Regardless of how you identify, anytime that you're dealing with lots of different people or the public in general, you're going to potentially come across anything, and you can't take things personally if someone's having a crummy day or something and they happen to unload on you. You're just the unlucky person in the direct line of fire. So I think that would be my biggest thing is don't take things too seriously. And
probably too personally based on what you're saying. Hey?
Yeah, and too personally. I mean, maybe take things seriously, don't take things too personally. Yeah.
Love it. Are there any entrepreneurs out there that inspire you?
I don't have a specific entrepreneur.
Okay.
But you actually, my mentor and the person that sort of inspired me throughout my entire career, we both know, is Sheila Ellert.
Okay.
She was my first manager ever and my first, professional role in the finance industry. Yeah. And she's been a part of my life professionally and personally for the last 12, 13 years. Amazing. And having someone like her kind of build confidence, sort of allowed me to instill it in myself. And I hope that everyone has a Sheila Ellert in their life because she played a fundamental role in mine. Yeah.
Any, do you have any favorite books or podcasts that you enjoyed that have impacted you on your entrepreneurial journey?
I am an interesting person because I don't really enjoy reading or listening to podcasts. A lot of my job requires me to read and analyze and research, and that's sort of taken the enjoyment out of reading on my personal time. Yeah. So I don't think I have really anything specific to say there. It's a lot of news outlets and stock reports and things like that, which is not really fun for anyone to read.
But part of the shtick.
Part of the shtick, yeah. You have to be aware of what's going on. Yeah.
I was kind of the same way. I was like, I never used to enjoy reading, and so I just finally started kind of forcing myself on like the professional side, like the professional development.
Yeah.
Because I do it when I drive a lot now.
Okay.
So I'll switch between music and podcasts to give my brain a break, but same thing because my brain, I find driving kind of like with that other music. Right. Driving just calms my brain enough, and then I start thinking. I do my best brainstorming while driving.
Oh, okay. See, I kind of, with all of the professional development that comes within the industry and the compliance and regulation, that's kind of, that's there and it happens.
Absolutely.
For me, where I kind of get my creativity or my other kind of thoughts moving is when I'm crocheting.
Oh,
like,
okay. Yeah.
I love to crochet. I will make anything, like, you know, your typical like hats and mitts and scarves, but I'll make blankets and or like really bespoke things. Like I made my niece a Barbie blanket.
It's fun.
So like lots of just different things like that, but that for me, that's like my relaxation, my downtime, my focus.
So that's a bit of the also plays back into that like work-life balance, self-care kind of side of things, because that's your decompressing. Hey,
it is.
Yeah.
Just a quiet task to do anywhere. Anything can be going on, but I can just focus on that. And
right.
Yeah.
Actually, the friends that just lived down the street from here had got both Elle and I the little unicorns that you can crochet.
Oh yeah.
So I haven't started mine yet. Ella started hers. So we took them on our trip to Thailand, and we did our first, we did a stupid shit podcast from the Air Canada Lounge in Vancouver.
Oh, wow.
And she actually did it while I'm like, I can't do this and try and record a podcast. So
Ella crochets as well.
Well, she's learning.
She's learning. Because that's like
the little, whatever they're
a bit
called,
tricky
emos.
to start with a project like that.
Yeah.
Where you've got like a 3D finished product.
So they have videos that you just follow along with.
Oh, okay.
And then all of what you need is in this kit.
Oh, that's neat.
That's going to be...
That's so cool. Very cool.
I've opened mine and looked at it, but I haven't actually started yet.
Okay.
So one of these days, sometimes there's those projects that you just sit on for a while and it's always like, hey, I'm ready to do this.
Yeah, you get the motivation to do it, and then you just hyperfixate and you're like, okay,
Exactly.
I'm done.
Exactly. And my closing question for everyone is, what advice would you give to other queer individuals who are considering an entrepreneurial journey?
I would say if it's something that you're passionate about and it's got a positive impact, do it. And just persevere, because it's going to be like a rough start. It's going to be, you're going to get some really amazing wins, and then there's going to be some really rocky pieces.
Absolutely.
But I think whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're working for somebody else, you're going to experience things like that. But the gratification that you get when you can say, like, I did it, I made it to this point, I achieved this, and look at how I've helped or who I've helped or what I've done to better the community. That's a huge thing.
It is. I agree. That's it. You just got to do it.
Yeah, just do it. And Sarah and I were talking about this morning, and she said, yeah, that's what I said. And I said, well, okay, so I can't say just do it then, because it's...
Because I agree. And so it's interesting when you have people on the podcast that will say, that will give you this whole story of recommendations. But I'm the same with you, as like, just rip that Band-Aid off and do it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to regret not doing it.
Well, and I think to your point, if you try it and it doesn't work out, you've tried it and you know what the experience is, you know what to expect, and it might, you might learn something about yourself in your next endeavor, or that you can build on, and that's that. I mean, it doesn't always mean that the business is successful, but if you're successful as a person, that's, a little bit different.
Well, I can't remember the exact numbers they say, but you're going to fail a number of times before you actually succeed. And I feel like even with my business, I fail probably 10 times more than I succeed. You just don't always see it, right? Because there's the little pieces that build up.
That's true.
But when you start hitting those success things, then it keeps rolling. But you're still, even if you're successful, you're still going to have failures.
Yeah,
right.
Of course. That's just par for the course.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
But cool. Do you have any other thoughts or anything you wanted to share on the podcast today, that maybe something that was in there I didn't ask?
I don't think
No?
so.
Okay.
I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, we did.
And
That's great.
I'm just very thankful that you were able to come and set up and we could do this here.
Totally. Yeah, no, I was literally, ever since I think I chatted with Sarah at one point, or I can't remember what exactly happened, but I always kind of envisioned when we did your podcast, it would be here in the space, because it's, it's a beautiful space, and it's good to be able to have, some branding in the background. And I mean, obviously if people are listening, they're not going to see it, but for anyone that watches it and in our clips and whatnot. So
absolutely.
That was great. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking time out of your Tuesday. I know you got a week left before your nice long vacation, so
yes.
Have a great time. And
Thank you very much.
Lots of relaxing. And is this the first big trip with the kid?
Yeah, I would say this is the first big one.
Yeah.
We took him to Mexico last year.
Okay.
And he did exceptionally well on the plane. But this is an overnight flight, so a bit of a different ballgame. We'll see how it goes.
As long as he can sleep, right?
I think it'll be okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
The first few days are going to be tiring, no matter what, right?
Yeah,
for everyone.
absolutely.
With all the time changes, but you adjust and.
We'll be in another place. I mean, it'll be so much fun.
Yeah.
And we'll be okay. We'll be zombies for a little bit, but we'll be okay.
It happens. So. Great. Well, thanks again. Excuse me. Thanks again for being on the podcast. And thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Queerpreneurs. We'll see you next time.